Me and JP, we've been doing a lot of talk to ourselves about the Enneagram and business. And we thought about how powerful it can be if we can help people when they understand their Enneagram type so you can be your best you, be an entrepreneur or just an employee to be a great worker. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So today we wanted to talk about type 9. Enneagram type 9s are known as the peacemaker or the mediator. Okay, so a lot of times you don't see many emotional highs or emotional lows. They just kind of stay kind of even kill, just really nice and mellow for the most part. They're very easy to get along with. They have a high level of understanding as well. Typically, what happened in the childhood of a type 9 is somebody in their family, whether it's mother, father, brother, sister, had a very big energy, okay, that kind of like overshadowed them and kind of made them kind of suppress a little bit. 9s are by nature very strong suppressors when it comes to dealing with any thing that can cause any conflict. 9s are actually in the anger center as well, but you would never know that because 9s typically don't seem like they're full of anger. And a lot of times 9s are disconnected from recognizing their own anger. Their anger center is activated when they feel ignored or unseen in any way. So that can really set that trigger in a 9. And it usually shows up in like a passive aggressive manner because they want to keep the peace, right? So they don't like to attack things head on typically. At some point, most 9s, they either have or they're going to, they'll pop at some point because they suppress so much. And it feels really good for a 9 actually. But once they get more emotionally sober and once after that release typically comes a little bit of sadness and then they feel bad.
An interesting point that you raised to me was how the various Enneagram types, when they're healthy or in balance, reflect other characteristics. That was a game changer for me in terms of actually modeling my traits and managing my behavior by thinking, okay, well, what would this person act like in this situation? Because that's me at my healthiest, right? What's 9 look like when it's really healthy and dealing well with things?
Great question. So I like to think of it as under stress and stress-free, right? So when a 9 is stressed, they actually go to a type 6. A type 6 can have a lot of anxiety. So this is how 9s know that they're kind of in a not so good place, is because when they should pay attention to check into their body and see if they have an anxiousness about them. They can start overthinking and they can take on the traits of a head type actually, which a type 6 is. And but a type 9 at their best is going to be, it goes to a type 3, which is going to be an achiever. So your strength and weakness as a 9 is, it can bring people together really well. So President Obama is a great example of a type 9, actually. He's a 9 with the one wing. Another thing is they can typically take on the perspective of everyone else with natural ease, better than most of us. So they can actually feel through their instinct, the compassion for people and kind of understand what people want and where they're thinking. They can be extremely open-minded. And they're very good at understanding. They have a high level of understanding because they almost merge with other people in a sense. So, and you can see how that can be a challenge if you lose some of yourself. You can understand everybody so well, but neglect understanding yourself. Every single 9 I know is addicted to coffee. So if you drink coffee daily, chances are maybe you're 9. Just joking. It's because they typically feel very sloppish, right? And so this gives them a sense of stimulation, which can give them motivation to get things done and all that stuff. Anything else you want to mention about the 9?
When a 9 are under stress, they can become defensive and paranoid and things like that. So if you are a 9 and you sense those types of things, you know that you're under stress. It's it's being self-aware and understanding then how you can put a break in and then adopt different personalities types or personality traits, I suppose. And then at the healthiest, as you say, the achiever, the type 3, the traits that they adopt, they start to embrace their ambition a bit more and start to become a doer. They have more maybe confidence in themselves and their own abilities.
If you're a 9 watching, you should pay attention to this and notice that you probably do this by default. 9s, so they don't like feeling a lot of pressure. Okay, so if you're in a relationship with a 9, or if you have a 9 at your workplace, you got to be a little bit more sensitive. Small things feel like very big things to them. So very little pressure can feel like a lot of pressure to them. I actually forget that all the time when I'm hanging out with 9s as well, because I am an aggressive type, type 3, type 7 and 8 are all the aggressive types. They're the most aggressive types. But they have so nines, you guys will have a tendency to have secondary agendas, right? So what I mean by that, you guys will all of a sudden get busy and start cleaning, or all this stuff comes out when you get under stress, when there's conflict. So here's a good example of that is like, say you have to make this dreaded phone call to one of your employees or something like that, okay? What typically will happen is all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I gotta do laundry, oh I gotta clean, oh I gotta go do this, and you have all these secondary agendas, and you won't typically hit the top priority agenda at all because the fear of conflict. And so when a 9 starts growing at their best, they take that head on. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it's something that they always do whenever they start feeling those uncomfortable emotions. So every type has this trigger of uncomfortable emotions. 7s is getting bored and pain. Yeah, so any questions on that, JP?
No, well, my partner is a 9. I think I'm a 1 with a 9 wing, perhaps. For a 9, sometimes small things turn into big things inside their head, right? The reality that's created inside your head is a lot worse than the actual world reality. As you know, Josh, part of my thing outside of tech is playing music and composing music, right? And we had a show at the weekend, and sometimes Camilla, my partner, will play keys and synth with us, which is really cool. And I sort of sprung on her last minute and sort of said, oh, would you play keys, right? And she was like, yeah, no problem. Not wanting to, as a 9, upset me, right?
Yes,
saying,
right.
No, that her state was beginning to change, and I listened to her, we have kids. And I thought, right, okay, because we were doing the show, we were staying in the hotel, we were in the city, we were away from the kids. So I was like, oh, sugar, maybe she doesn't want to be away from the kids and she's feeling stressed out, because we have young children, and we don't often get a night out or a time to ourselves and things like that. So like, it was a big thing to get away and to do it, and something we should all be looking forward to, that type of thing. It came to the day of the show, and she generated the courage inside herself to say, you know what, I don't feel like I've prepared enough. And if you really need me to play, I'll play. But, I'm really quite nervous about this. And the simple solution was, that's fine. Then all of a sudden the state changed, and like, we had an amazing weekend. And that's a simple way that, when a 9 becomes, has the confidence in themselves to voice their opinion, how the things can be resolved so easily. To bring it into the reality, my personal reality, that, it's something I live, and I lacked the awareness at that point to realize the pressure that I'd put her under, which is a really important thing, because she had the self-awareness to say, right, okay, if I say something about this and sort of adopt some other traits of perhaps a 3, and be a bit more assertive in myself, then I can solve this problem, and deal with and bring myself into no stress again, right? Because that's what it is, stress. And
that's right.
But still, but yeah.
That's a beautiful, perfect, man. That's as good as, that's spot on. So, and I have to, dude, we all do it. I have to stay cognizant of that too, right? Sometimes, like, I can subconsciously come off more aggressive than I actually am, and so for a 9, that's going to freak them out, and they're going to kind of shut down a little bit, and it's hard to find the balance to do that with the 9, which is interesting.
Absolutely. The big challenge is, dude, like, I find my big personal challenge is when I assume the traits of the person that I'm talking to are my own traits, like, which is a massive mistake.
That's right.
So it's something that my type is famous for, imposing their standards on other people, and acting like a perfectionist and expecting perfection, these types of things, and that's something I have to manage. But empathizing and actually playing to the person that you're talking to, and being self-aware is one thing. But the real superpower is when people are self-aware in themselves, because then you're in control. You're the
Yeah.
person in control of your own state.
Amazing points, man. Amazing points. And one really quick thing on that. So if you're in a relationship, any kind of relationship with a 9, business relationship or romantic, whatever, or family, whatever, know that when a 9 gets to their lowest levels, they kind of clam up. So I call it clamming. Some people call it like narking out. They just kind of they check out mentally and emotionally. So they're just out of there. And when that happens, what typically happened, one, it's everybody has their own responsibility. So they didn't have to do that, but their survival instinct shut down and they're just like closed. And when that happens, man, they put up a brick wall where it's just, there's no hope to get through until they decide to let that wall back down. So it's extremely important to create a safe space for 9s, and try to make them feel as comfortable being as honest with you as you can, and as soon as you do notice that they are opening up, like when you noticed your partner was when she brought that up to you, you got to reward them and let them know that you prefer that. And 9s are notorious for saying one thing but meaning another, so you got to be really careful with that. Okay, so let's get into some of their skill sets that we feel that can be extremely strong for a workplace. So obviously we talked about the community aspect of bringing people together and having amazing awareness and understanding of every type. So I think this is why 9 is at the top of the Enneagram, right? They're at the very top because they can kind of fully understand every single type really well. So I love that when I'm around 9s because they can understand me and they can understand those around them and understand how that something might make them feel. So that's an amazing trait to have as a leader. You guys can bring to get people together really well. So focus on that, right? So if you have this natural strength, this natural tendency, think about how you can bring people together to create the mission that you have in your head, or to create, something in the business that's going to be amazing, right? Just think about everybody and how they all are by nature and what parts you can put everybody in to make this perfect wheel spin.
And I think it's an amazing combination when they start to adopt those 3 traits of ambition and sort of being agile and adaptable, So whenever you have that combination, as I suspect President Obama had, where he was ambitious enough that he could present a vision to people that they would follow, adaptable enough that when he came up against roadblocks, he could overcome most of them, obviously in difficulties, but also have his core 9 traits of bringing people together and motivating people and keeping his team on board and making them feel valued and putting other people before him. Those traits are like that is a potent mixture for any leader to have. I would follow that person if they were described like that and I don't even know who they are.
Hopefully that helps a little bit for the type 9. Please leave comments, and if you guys have any other questions or anything that we didn't cover, but just know you have it in you and you just got to go even though it feels uncomfortable. Just like all the types, all of us have something that's extremely uncomfortable to us and we all have to go anyway. Cool. So yeah, just if you're a 9, just try to stay working toward a goal. That can be extremely powerful and helpful for a 9. You can also find us on Facebook at the Entrepreneur's Journey. We have a mastermind group. So if you guys want to join our mastermind group, it's a big community of all entrepreneurs or people that's very passionate about personal development. And what we do in there is we all help each other through certain issues. So say like I'm stuck here at my business, but I want to get here. Then I get the experience of all these guys at this amazing community that help me get to that next level. So thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate each and every one of you. You guys are amazing. Have an amazing day, and we'll talk to y'all soon.